I'm Rodri guez Almaraz. I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'm the director, producer, and scriptwriter of This is Fracking. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. So, the one of the first questions I always ask the filmmakers, especially those who are the writers, as well as producers and directors, is the idea for the project. I know that climate change and social justice and these are issues that are very important to you. But it's one thing to be an activist and have a passion about this, and then to make a film about it. So how did you get to the filmmaking part?
The thing is, I was working for 350 as a consultant.
Okay.
And there was an idea of making something related to Vaca Muerta. At first it was a happening, and it was a suggestion by someone from the European team.
Mm-hmm.
But then it turned out they wanted to make a short documentary about how Vaca Muerta was financed, and so that was the ask.
Okay.
So I hired Paula, which is also a director of this film, and we went to several provinces that are where Vaca Muerta is: Neuquén, Rio Negro, Mendoza, and then we went to Entre Rios, where the sand for fracking is taken in. So by the time that we got back, when we started asking questions, nobody knew how Vaca Muerta was financed.
Right.
But what appeared there was the struggle of the communities.
Right.
And that was a bigger story.
Right.
So we got back. We actually made a short documentary. It was a 17-minute documentary about what was going on, but it was just scratching the surface.
You weren't getting, yeah.
And there was a whole part of the interviews that we had that wasn't there. So I tried to convince everyone, we need to make a film out of this.
Right.
The problem was that we didn't have the footage in order to make a film with that. So it was months of doing research, trying to find ways to tell the story. I didn't study filmmaking, but advertising. So there's, that's the reason why in the film there's a lot of short clips, because that's the only thing that I know how to do.
Right.
And of course, there was also Paula's creative vision and her fantastic editing.
Right.
And we were able to make a film, but the whole process was really chaotic because first, I didn't have experience, so there were a lot of things that I was learning by doing it.
While you were doing it.
Yes,
yeah.
And also there was a reason Paula got sick while we were making the film, so at some point I had to take 100% lead of the project and until the end of it. So it was really. Yeah, it was really challenging for me. Probably the biggest thing that I've done in my life, because the stories really impacted and my life, and yes, and for me it became really personal because I really wanted the world to know what was going on there.
Right. Well, it's clear. I mean, it's your passion for it comes through. In not just the subject matter, but in what you pull out of the people of the community. What was it like to go into this community and tell them, trust me with your story. I want to tell the world about this.
It was heartbreaking, to be honest, because I don't know how to say this, but when I went to Mendoza to shoot, there are some interviews that didn't make the final editing, but one of the interviews that I did was a mother who lost his child due to he had benzene in his blood.
Oh my
last
gosh.
time that he was 9 years old when he died. He died in 2021, I think. And at first she didn't want to talk. Her lawyers kind of convinced her to to express what she wanted to say. So I did that. The problem was that during the pandemic, I got pregnant and I wasn't able to carry that because personal stuff. And for me, it felt really personal to the need to tell this story about this, because it's not when the people who are sick are kids.
Right.
I mean, you don't mess with kids.
No,
you know?
no.
It's so like you cannot be that evil.
Right. Well, but they are. I mean, and that's the thing. You know, in thinking about climate change, the whole world is this summer. I mean, is experiencing what people have been talking about for a while. But it's been communities like the ones that you went into, or Blue Line community in South Florida. I mean, it's a social justice issue where those who can who need protection the most, or who are victimized the most before anything else reaches each other. And I feel like one of the things that struck out to me about how you position Patagonia for so many of the rest of us, we have this image of the place as this beautiful, idyllic, land of escape, when there's this reality of it's anything but. When you were thinking about where to tell a story, was that important for you to kind of say, not only is this happening, but it's happening in places where you're not even thinking about?
I think there was that came really early in the process, but also it came also from the different teams of 350, because it was their vision of Patagonia, not mine, because I live there.
Right.
So it was important because the film was made in some sort of strategic way, because it should work with local people, but also with people who live abroad.
Of course.
And who might be able to do some activism, because in some countries in the global south, it's hard to tell these stories. Because you may be able to showcase the film in a film festival, but no media is going to talk about it. So perhaps, I don't know, if we released a documentary about the subject, perhaps a major media outlet from another part of the world can talk about it. And people from Argentina really hate when people from abroad talk about Argentina. But they react. So that was also hook in a way.
So what can we do? I mean, as someone who is drawn to the subject matter and has their heart broken and becomes enraged, and then what? I walk out of the theater, someone walks out of the theater. What is your hope next?
I think first of all, is try to be involved in any way. Try to get close to the communities, or try to learn more about what's going on. Try to do some activism, like when you vote, when you can do a lot of stuff. But in my case, it was making a film. But in other cases, can be someone who is close to a politician who can convince him to vote for an environmental law, or try to be part of climate conversations. And I know there was a former colleague from 350. Her name is Renata, and she has been very a very active climate activist. She has participated in several UN events for youth, and she's from a place called Pelotas in the south of Brazil, and it's very important for her to talk about what's going on in her state to the world. It's very important, because you need to hear those stories firsthand, and there's many ways where we can be involved, and she probably inspires a lot of people who are younger than her, and perhaps would like to pursue the same
to follow
career.
That lead. Are you receiving the response that you had hoped for?
I haven't. I mean, to be honest, This is the premiere, so I don't know actually what's going to be the response. I'm eager to know.
Yes.
But so far, I think for the closest people that have seen the film, in some cases, I think I received the reaction that I was expecting. Because if you watch the film, you have a reaction. But if you watch the film living in Argentina, you have a different reaction. Because there's a political context right now where you get really upset.
Right.
Because you know these people, you know what they have said before, and it's not... It gets really personal.
You know what they know and what they're not doing, too.
Exactly.
Right, okay. Well, I think you were again, we spoke off camera at the beginning about 350 being born here in Middlebury, so there's a, for me anyway, who I remember the founders when they were undergraduate students. Yes. I've known Bill for 20 years, and so it's wonderful to see the film having its premiere here in Vermont, and then hopefully we'll kind of catch that wave from here.
Yes, I mean, it was really important for 350 and for everyone involved to have the premiere here.
Right.
And because even though it's not a big film festival, it's important to get to the roots.
Yes.
It's very important because here it means something different. It means something more.
Correct.
And that, I think that's contagious in a way. You can
exactly. The ripple effect should carry forward. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me, and for taking the time and tremendous amount of energy to get here to Vermont from your home. We really appreciate it, and it's nice to be able to host you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.